People. How's it going? So, Mandy and I had so much fun when we did our interview exactly 7 days ago that we decided to come back and welcome one of her other daughters to the scene so that she can share her story. And so we could talk a little bit more about Mandy's book and give you some insight as to what it is that you're going to be getting into with this book. I have been consuming the book myself, and it is, I mean, I'm not going to lie, as I've been reading it, it's possible I've been spending a fair amount of time doing this. Like, all the flies could just fly into my mouth because, like, I'm sure I could fit my lovebird in there. Like, it's just ridiculous. There's been a lot of like, holy crap. So, if any of you guys are like having a difficult time and you just like want to read somebody's life story and have some perspective and be like, my life isn't that bad, read her book. But if you also like have walked through a refining fire and you want to know how you can come out of it, how you can dive into the darkness and come out and become light, read this book. If you want to see somebody be so brave that not only is she willing to share her own pain and trials and tribulations and challenges, but also hold herself accountable for the things that she did to hurt others, read this book. I don't know if there are any other books out there where somebody has actually held themselves accountable and called out the things that they did. And I think it's so beautiful. So we have the opportunity to be able to not just learn more about this beautiful book that Mandy has birthed, but to hear how it's impacted one of her children, which we got to do last week as well, which was absolutely monumental. So we decided to do it again. And I was just thinking, oh my gosh, can we get her husband on here too? Because that would be so amazing. I just wanted to touch base on something that I was reading in the book yesterday. And I know that there has been multiple occurrences of your family like breaking up and then possibly a start again on both sides. And so you really experienced having multiple parental figures coming into your life and different parenting styles. And that's been really interesting. So, first, I want you to share what it was like for you and the challenges that you struggled with, first of all, with your parents splitting up and what that was like, and then how it was experiencing other partners coming into your parents' life as well.
Yeah, I'm happy to do this, by the way. Thank you. Um, um, so my parents divorced and when I was, really little and um they did try to make it, work again. And that was really odd because I had already gotten used to them being such like apart from each other. It's so crazy to think about, but as I got older, I remember thinking, my dad and my mom together, that is so weird. Like I could never see it. As a child, it felt right. But seeing them apart from each other was just odd. Like that could never work. But I'm learning more and more that they really did love each other. They just didn't know how to make it work. They didn't know that they needed like their own set of healing, like that they brought into the marriage, like most of us do with our partners. We bring in stuff and we don't even realize we have all the stuff that we're carrying. And but yeah, so and dad, he had many different like girlfriends and things that would come in and I would get super excited because I did, I just wanted, and he had a couple of women that were just amazing and loved me so deeply. I mean, they were just like I was there. And that's something that I didn't put in the book, but they loved me and they like was like present, a woman figure there for me. And then before I knew it was gone, like over. Um, and so just ripped out. Mom had different men coming in too, and that was just incredibly, I don't know, painful because, like I said, she was unhealed, she didn't know, like, that I think she always wanted to be healed, and she always wanted to, I think that's the one thing. She never picked up a drink again because she was an alcoholic. She never picked up a drink after that because she associated that with losing her children. So I think that she really wanted that, but um, just interacting with the other men was just, it just felt highly uncomfortable. Um, and I love talking about this because I know that a lot of people have walked, and have been in that space too. But yeah, it was really odd going in and out of different relationships. I just kind of felt like tossed and thrown, and never was seen or heard, or, I had to sit down and be quiet. I had to be a good little girl. And I mean, that's honestly, that's what the generations taught, that children had to, be, or my generations were taught they could be seen but not heard. Um, and so that was very difficult for me as an adult to just be my childlike self, and just express. And here I am. I remember my cousin telling me once, she told me a while back, she said, she said, I didn't realize how bossy I was whenever we were together, because I would tell you, Mandy, shh, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. You're going to get in trouble if you do this, if you do that, if you're too loud, if you're whatever, like she goes, I didn't mean to be bossy. I just didn't want you to get in trouble. And I'm like, I mean, there it is right there, that I couldn't be expressive. And, but yeah, just, I felt off. I felt just, I didn't have that anchor, like I needed an anchor. I needed, and, I talk a lot about, I mean, and my dad, single parent, hats off to all the single parents out there, because I know, I really truly believe he did everything he possibly could to do what he did, to take care of my brother and I think that he did the very best. And I think I said it in the last interview, that's one of the hardest things I had to do, was write about the difficulty and the things that happened there. Because I'm always a person that I try to put myself in other people's shoes and like see what it was like for them. If my dad could write a book and talk about his side of it, I would absolutely love that. um, but me and my mom had many, many conversations. My mom ended up marrying a man that was, she was with him for 15 years, and um, he was fun and energetic at first, but he ended up like having a lot of mental issues that I really think a lot of that had to do with the religiousness of it all. Like in the religious system that I was a part of, you could hide everything, and you couldn't like be your real authentic self. I mean, I could just hide behind the mask, and I see that it was, I feel like a lot of mental issues can really come from just the control and manipulation of like the religion that we were in. Um and not all people who are in that, that's not across the board. That's just, some people can really get to where they're so stopped and blocked, like inside, that they can't move forward because they don't get help, because it was told, like to me, that Jesus will help you. Like, and Jesus is everything, and because you have Jesus, everything's going to be, fine. But there's a level that you really have to dig in and hear. You have to be able to, this goes way off the, the question you ask me, but I get on a roll and can't stop. But yeah, like with the religiousness part of it, this man he ended up having like severe mental issues and became very abusive with my mom at the end. So it's just, I never really had that security, that safety of feeling wanted and loved, and that I was important, you know. And that's a big deal. I think that's why I love talking about this. I love telling every single person, or wanting every single person to know how loved and special they are, because I completely understand not having that and not feeling that safety, that groundedness, that you were perfect and wonderful and beautifully made. And, and a lot of adults as children, grew up like that. And then a lot of children grow up like that. So that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book too. That was a big, long.
No, it's beautiful and it's perfect the way that it is. And when you allow yourself to ramble like that, it gives people an opportunity just to see what's going on in that brain of yours. And that's what we want. We want that insight. You know what I mean? That's why I'm talking to you, because people are going to read this book and they're probably going to have questions, and they're going to, want to understand what that's created in you and what your mindset is, and how that brain of yours ticks after walking through what you've walked through. So this is beautiful and it's perfect. I want to ask you, if you had the opportunity to change things, to change the outcome, to stop your parents from breaking up, and to have lived a life with an alcoholic mother and your father being the way that he was, and had them be together, and you could have just bathed in that toxicity, do you think that would have been better?
Mm-mm.
I just want to sit with an alternative reality for a second, just because I've talked to multiple people, and I've been coaching multiple clients that are in marriages that are telling themselves that if I stay together with my partner, then like, we're doing it for the kids, and we can give them a happy life if we just stay together miserably. It'll work out fine, right? But if you think about what it was like when your parents were together before they separated, what kind of toxicity were you living with, and how happy was it in that scenario?
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't. I think in the very beginning, they really loved each other a
Yeah.
lot and like were together. But like as they grew apart, and like I said, didn't ever go to therapy or counseling or anything. I mean, and my mom always told me, she always said, if I had known this, and this, I would have gotten the help. Like that's what she always told me. And she said I would have made it work with your dad. But that was so toxic that my mom ended up telling me she could not be around me and my brother. Like, she told me many, many times, like, I couldn't take care of myself. I don't know how I could have taken care of you. And she felt so much shame and guilt for it. But no, absolutely not. If people cannot make it work and it's toxic like that, no. I feel like my life worked out so perfectly just as it was. There's so many things. Like, my mom ended up remarrying the man that I would call a bonus dad, somebody I could cry tears over how much I love that man. And he wouldn't have been able, like, after she went through some of the things she went through, she married him, and I absolutely adore him. He's literally like a second dad to me. Actually, he's really helped heal my heart, a lot from things with my own dad. So I think that it can unfold beautifully as you listen to what is best for you and stop all the toxicity. If you cannot make it work, and you cannot come together, same with Jonathan and me. Like, I didn't know. There were many times I didn't know if we were going to make it. And I did say that. I did say, when my kids get 18, that I did say that, what you just said. Like, when my kids get 18, I'm just out of here. But that was me shutting down everything instead of healing it. And so once I started healing it, that all changed. But it takes two people to work really, really, really hard on themselves and really learn a life of loving themselves and healing these deeper wounds. And if you cannot do that and it's toxic and it is dragging you down on a constant basis, it is putting you in bad places, do not stay in that. Absolutely not.
What's really important to be clear on, because I think that it's important to relay this to everybody who's reading this, is that divorce isn't the thing that ruins a child. It's the toxicity of the person that is trying to run away from their darkness. When you run away from your darkness, and I'm talking about your past trauma, you become the darkness.
Mhm.
It will overtake you and you will become the darkness. And then you end up hurting everybody around you. So even if you were to stay in the relationship that you're in, your children are going to have to be forced to bathe in that darkness. If you get divorced and you still run from the darkness, you will attract partners that will be like your previous partner, and the darkness will ensue. There is no end to it unless you actively choose to run into the darkness, to analyze it, to forgive, to heal, to learn the lessons that you were meant to learn, to expand, and to become light. The darkness creates light. It is contrast. So I was just thinking so much about that because it just seems like so much of the theme around me, reading your book and talking to people who are either getting divorced or choosing to stay in relationships, is somehow they're missing this point that the secret isn't in just getting out of this relationship and then finding a better one because she's the evil one or he's the evil one, or enduring until the kids are old enough so they don't have to suffer. The secret, no matter what your situation is healing.
Yeah, it is.
Because you were continually bathing in the darkness as a result of the fact that both of your partners, both of your parents did not heal.
Right. That's right. I had to. I mean, I had to go into that darkness many times. There were many, many times I would tell Jonathan, I'm about to go for the next 3 or 4 days into a pit. I knew it was coming. I knew that I had to go into that place and feel all of the feelings and heal all of the things. And I did it through my tears and I did it through getting help and things like that. But I would tell him, just give me some grace during this time. I'm going to be fine, but I'm going to have to heal this. And the more I did that, the more I faced it, because there's a lot of people who they do get divorced because they for some reason can't like make it work or whatever, and they get divorced and then they just keep attracting the same things. We are going to keep attracting the things in our lives until we heal that thing, you know. I mean, I was just telling somebody that yesterday, you know, like I can just see all the things that I just kept attracting in because I wasn't healing it. But it's okay. Like a healing is a process, you know? And once you are done with that thing and you go into that space, you heal that space, you really can come out with so much more joy and so much more love and so much more light. And that will be what you attract into your life.
I love that so much. Thank you. It's really beautiful. I'd also like you to touch base. I was reading about what it was like for you when your mother became extremely religious and that massive void that you had in your heart. And when you experienced uh, being in a religious environment for the first time and unconditional love being offered to you, and how that was like how powerful it was for you as a result of the lack of it in your home life.
It,
Because it really just like it just really hit me just how enslaving religion is for that reason. There are so many people that are lacking and they haven't learned how to tap into unconditional love, and they're lacking that in their life. And so they go into religion and it provides that, and it enslaves. It absolutely enslaves. If you guys are religious and you're watching this and it's triggering you, you're freaking welcome. I am not apologizing for being unfiltered and speaking my truth. Okay. Religion has been enslaving for thousands of years. Please look at the history books. Okay. Like, not apologizing. Your power is in claiming your own unconditional love, in understanding that you are a creation of source, that you are one with the universe, that you are unconditional love. Unconditional love does not come from an outside source. If you try to seek anything from an outside source, it will be temporary, period. I don't care if it's from Jesus. I don't care if it's from God. I don't care where it's from. If it's from a dude or some cute girl, it is temporary when it is external. But religion uses it as a way to enslave because it tells you what's going to happen to you when you're dead, and it offers you unconditional love. But the last time I checked, it's not conditional because there's actually all these rules that you have to follow. And if you don't do it, you're told you're going to hell. So I'm trying to figure out where the unconditional is in this. A little confused, right? You're unconditionally loved, except when you don't do this and you don't do this and you don't do this. You have to follow all of these rules and you're bound and controlled. Like, if we really unravel this, guys, it is a way to bind and control. Okay. And we can have a whole conversation about this, but I just want you to take a second and just be in that moment where you were in that church and that love was being offered to you when you didn't feel it, and how you just ran to the front of that room because of that desperation that you had. It was so powerful. When I read that, I was just like, oh my God, how many people actually have that story and allow themselves to be bound because they are so lacking that void that you felt and so many people feel, right?
Right. That's right. I did. When my mom, she, I'm going, there's a lot there. My mom, I would call she exchanged one crutch for another in a lot of forms, meaning she went from alcohol to religiousness. Um, and it was like her alcohol. She did bring me, into the church, and I ran to the front, and she didn't know where I was. And I felt this unconditional love, and it to me it was very real. This love that I felt was very unconditional. Like I just was just swooped up in this love from source. Like I felt that. And the more, I did, and I still feel that today. But the more that I went into being part of different churches after that, and different, like I just kept like moving into that, because I feel like that it can be an avenue for unconditional love if you, if you can continue to expand. And that this is my personal experience. But as we moved along in this, there was more control, more manipulation. I mean, things like, we would be taking our kids to, a specific church that we were there for 10 years. And by the way, I've had so many people ask me, so many like religious people, like people in my family have said, so do you think you're not going to church anymore because you were so hurt? That's been one of the questions. And I'm like, no, that was the catalyst to help me being completely free and being unconditional love for real. And so like for real, genuinely, because I didn't know that, because it just was so stricken. But we were in this church for like 10 years, and this happened repeatedly, so in everywhere we went. But that we were in this church, and like I remember our kids loved it and everything. I took our kids to another church on a Wednesday night, and they absolutely loved it. It was just like a once a week thing, and they had activities and all this stuff. And the church told us, when they found out, they were like, absolutely not. You cannot take your kids to another church. You have to be right here all the time. You have to go to women's group meetings. You have to do this. You have to do that. And like it was a mess. That was control and manipulation. That was not unconditional love. And I have many stories like that. Many, many, many. But that's the thing, is people don't understand that love is unconditional, and it's very real. And it's what I live in. Like it doesn't matter what people say or do. I genuinely unconditionally love them. And I feel like I have this thing that I didn't have as a kid and growing up in this system that has all of the rules and regulations and all the things. And how in the world can you say that there is this, source or God or Jesus or whatever that is unconditionally loving, but is also going to send you to hell? And like, or even allow you to go to hell. Me and my daughters have had this conversation so many times, because even my daughter was able to talk to her son, because he, came in, and he had been to church and other things with other people, and he was afraid for her soul at 7 years old. And she was like, honey, she was like, she said, here's the thing. She basically told him that, I love you so much, and I would never, ever allow you, no matter what you did, no matter what mistakes you make or what things you do, I would never even allow you to be in a place with all torture for all eternity. And do I have more love than God? like, seriously, or do I have more love than source? Like, I would never do that. So, and again, you can ask her that conversation. That was a powerful conversation, to have, because these children are being taught this stuff and genuinely scared. Even my mom, like, we couldn't come together. There was many times through the last 3 or 4 several years of my life that me and her could not come together because I unconditionally loved her, where she was going to church with her Bible, reading the Bible, fine. Everything she wanted to talk about, I was there. I love her, you know, but she couldn't hold that space for me because I was in a different space, still loving all the things, but we were finally able to come together at the end and talk about it, and for her to be able to say, "You're my daughter and I love you." And I'm like, why can't we have the ground for when you are around other people who believe differently than you do? Why can't we have the common ground is that we love each other? And let's, have that open. That's an unconditional love. Like, I love you, you love me. Let's move. Let's move in that direction.
Yeah, sadly, the most judgmental environment that I experienced in my 44 years of life was at church.
Yes.
It's worse than high school.
Yes.
It's really worse than high school.
Yes.
Um,
Devastating things. I have story after story after story of devastating things. But
yeah,
I'm very, at the same time, I'm like so thankful because I got out of all of it. Like, I
I didn't learn how to be unconditional love until I stepped outside of a reality where there was some dude in the sky who was going to bless me if I was a good girl and followed the rules. You know what I mean? It's completely different. And it didn't shift until I got to a place where I realized that I wasn't sitting on the back of the bus and there was some dude driving it and I had no control of where it was going and I just had to behave or I'd get in trouble or whatever. When I realized that I was in a Bugatti Veyron and the steering wheel was right in front of me and it was a sports car that went 300 kilometers an hour, I was like, hold on a second. The driver's seat is in front of me and I'm in a sports car. Let's freaking go. Realizing that I was in control of my life, it completely changed everything. And I have to say, from a perspective of looking at Jesus and the life that he lived, I studied him my whole life. I was raised Mormon. I was raised religious, and I didn't truly understand the lessons that were being taught by the story that is his life. When he was born and whether he was a real dude or not is all hearsay. And I hope you guys understand that the portrait that we all see that is Jesus is actually an artist's lover. So I don't know if you guys know that. Leonardo painted his lover. It's not actually Jesus. Pretty sure in the Middle East 2,000 years ago, wouldn't have been a white dude. Just saying. But what's really interesting is that I didn't truly realize that the life that this guy lived named Jesus was actually the ultimate example of high vibrational living. He was actually showing how to change molecular structure through healing and changing food and doing all sorts of stuff. And he was exhibiting unconditional love by loving everybody, no matter what walk of life they were coming from and what mistakes they had made. And he was showing empathy by taking on all of the pain of all of humanity in the Garden of Gethsemane. He was showing ultimate sacrifice and love by forgiving the people who were actively in the process of killing him while they were doing it. So if we look at the stories and the things that he did, if we look at the way that religion runs, it doesn't run with unconditional love the way that Jesus actually did. It isn't ultimately forgiving and forgiving in the moment when things are happening the way that Jesus did. It's not teaching you how to own your power and change molecular structure the way that Jesus did. It's teaching judgment. It's teaching it's teaching people how to be good lemmings and follow the rules and do what they're told for somebody's agenda. It just doesn't fly when you look at it. There's just no congruency. So I think that it's really beautiful that you walked a path where you experienced that, you were drawn to it and you were pulled to it and you were diving and bathing in it for quite a long time. But ultimately, when you walked your healing path, you did step outside of it and come to the realization that you are a powerful goddess. You are a divine being, and that you are in the driver's seat, and where you go is up to you, and that you are a creation of source, and how to truly be unconditional love. You know what I mean? Because I think if you were in religion still, you probably wouldn't have even written the book because of fear of judgment.
That's
Wha-
right.
Are you really going to expose all those sins to be judged? Mm-mm. Nope.
Mm-mm.
Right?
Right.
But in the world that you're in today, you know that the people you've surrounded yourself by, first of all, you love and forgive yourself.
Yes.
You love and forgive the others. And you
Yes.
know that the people you've surrounded yourself by love you and are proud of you and think you're amazing,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I do.
So your book, your stories, I mean, there's so many of them that we could bathe into, but I just wanted to touch base on, just a couple of different things that were in there just to help people, just get a touch, just a taste of what is in this book. And I'm just telling you, just be prepared for your mouth to get dry because your jaw's going to drop a lot. Okay. Like,
Yeah, it's funny that you started off with that because it is. And that's what like I always tell people if you need to like do it in increments or like because it's a lot and the mouth opening thing. And like I always say, if you can get to the end, man, you're in for a treat if you can get to the end. But yeah, it was a lot and I didn't even realize how much it was. And I think even the last interview, Faith even talked about it. She was like, there's so much more. There's so much more I didn't say, but I do literally want to walk in a place of unconditional love and I truly do and have forgiven myself and everybody else and realizing now that everything was meant as it was for me to be able to heal this trauma and pain so that I could help other people do it too. And what an honor. It was very, I'm going to be very honest, people don't even know. No one knows the shit I walk through to be able to do this, but it's real, it's very real. But it's so when I can give someone hope, and say, hey, and it's not going to be near as bad as I had it because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but, but like, yeah, I just, and then it's so crazy because I know people from all different religions. I know I'm even close to people who very much call themselves Christians, and I will say that there's a lot of them that are they are unconditionally loving. Like I have seen that too, and that has healed me a lot when I can actually see, okay, you really know what this is about, But Jesus is my home dog still. Like we're tight, like, but so is like I can learn from anyone, but like just Christ consciousness and like you said, the way he lived his life to show what true unconditional love was. That is the example, and it blesses me so much just the thought of it.
I think this is a perfect pivot point since we're talking about unconditional love. I'd like to welcome somebody that you unconditionally love into this chat to get her perspective on what it was like, growing up in that household of yours and what it's been like watching you heal and expand and share this story and put it in print and put it out to the world and how it specifically has impacted her and her own life. So I would really like to welcome your beautiful goddess daughter, Leah, to the group.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, beautiful.
Hey, you're beautiful.
So can you do me a favor and just explain to us, like what was Mandy like before she walked the healing path? What was mom like?
Oh man.
Be honest, it's
So
okay.
I feel like there's different stages of that. Growing up before she even started her healing journey, it was a lot of different things. Like, um, she was very much an impressionist. Like she had to make a good impression on people. Things had to be perfect. If someone was coming over, it was take out the trash, go mop the floors, go do this. Like everything had to be perfect when everyone was going to see our house. And I I remember like us being like late all the time because she had to really, really look perfect too. And it was all about, I mean, it's you're in the Christian world, it's all about appearances, right? So her appearance always had to be really good and really perfect and never really inward, more so outward. Also, I think given the things that happened to my mom, the things that the situation she was in, you've read some of it in the book. Chapter 8 is a tough one to get through, but a lot of the things that happened to her, I think, made her very fearful of raising daughters. And she was, I wouldn't even call it protective. I would call it like scared and fearful of boys, of other situations. It was just anytime she was coming at me about a friend, or maybe it was someone that I did have a crush on. We don't know. I never said so, that's for sure, because I knew my ass would get chewed out if anyone knew that I had a crush on anybody. So like I couldn't come to my mom about those things because if I did, it was preach, 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 preach. And it was nothing but her like kind of trying to create fear in me as well because she was so scared of the same things happening. And it just turned into me tuning her out all the time and really, really created a distance there with my mom that, I mean, that's immediately where I was tuning her out because I was like, I never felt like that was my fear. I always felt like it was hers. And it became very controlling. I was in trouble all the time. I was um, like disrespectful or rebellious or whatnot just because I felt like she didn't want to know. If I did like somebody, she would want to know just so she could chew into me about it and keep me like this. So it was like before her healing journey began, so much fear of the appearances of her daughters, appearance of her marriage. It was all appearances. And when she actually started this healing journey, I would like, after we had like healed our relationship and everything, I mean, it was, I wouldn't say ugly, but healing can get ugly. So, but there was a good while where I was worried about her because she was a hermit crab. She was in her room all the time. I mean, for forever, for a very, very, very long time, she would be just in her room to herself. And I would always worry about her and wonder like if she's okay. I didn't know if she was depressed. I didn't know what was going on. But now I know that was when she was actually digging in deep to heal those deep rooted issues and that trauma that had happened to her. That's when she started reflecting and started absorbing all of those things. So that got gruesome and she had to be alone a lot. And also back then I was in a very toxic marriage, if you want to call it that. So I don't blame her for not wanting to be around me during that time. But yeah, so at the start of it, it was not pretty, but it was necessary. And to look back now, you wouldn't recognize her 5, 6 years ago. Now you can see everything came to fruition, all of the hard work that she did. And now she is so much herself, and appearances hold this much value to her. So, sorry, that was long.
Both of you guys, stop apologizing for how much you talk. I
That's
want you to take up all the airspace. That's what you're here for. And this is what's really interesting is when you look at, who it is that you were and like who your mother was and the impact that she had on you as a result of the fact that she was bathing in pain and she was acting out of a place of fear. She was terrified that her daughters, God blessed her with 3 children, 3 daughters of all things. The one she thinks she was afraid of more than anything else, she got in triplets. She got 3 of them. So just like, here you go, manage that. It's just like her fear was, it was there in her face all the freaking time. And it's either just like die of fear or figure it the frick out and heal and expand. But I can understand where you're coming from. And it's difficult because mom's afraid that her babies are going to get victimized. And so she's doing everything to try to keep you feel safe. But you never went through any of that kind of stuff. So you're like, oh my God, can you stop projecting me getting victimized 24/7? Like I literally can't do this anymore.
Right.
And I understand that because my mother was very much the same, but like instead of trying to protect me, she turned me into a lethal weapon. So like it was a little bit different on my side of things. She taught me a powerful hate for men, and she taught me how to destroy them, not only with my double-edged sword of a tongue, but also, you know, physically. So like I just like had this energy of if you mess with me, you're gonna die a slow, painful death. And I had to learn how to, in my adult years, soften and become more loving towards men and to, you know, respect their value instead of thinking them as purely predators and always trying to protect myself from them because they only wanted one thing. So, you know, it's interesting how the fear of our mothers who have been wounded in that way by men, what it translates to in their daughters. And I was at the receiving end of it too. And I'm going to tell you, I definitely didn't want to hear anything that my mother had to say. But guess what? It sunk in and it turned me into a dragon. It absolutely did. Right. So, but I mean, the soonest I could get myself out from under her thumb and do my own thing, I absolutely did because I didn't like being yelled at for hours over what I should be doing with my life. I always said that I felt like I was a racehorse, literally being whipped and ridden because she was just constantly on me. So I feel you so much. And it's so beautiful for people to be allowed to bathe in that side of the dynamic of what your relationship was like when she was in that place of fear and unresolved, because that could have been her for the rest of her life. And your relationship could have stayed toxic. And it could have stayed toxic with all 3 of you daughters and
Right.
never expanded. Now, I want you to really allow yourself to bathe in what's happened since she's done the healing work and what is your relationship like now? And also, how has it impacted you as a woman? Like, what are you seeing in yourself and how are you living differently since the example that she has set for you doing what she's done?
So, yeah, that's a loaded question. So there's going to be a loaded answer
Good.
on that front.
Good.
I'm ready for this one.
Good.
Seeing like our relationship, first of all, had to overcome some heaps and bounds because of that that distance that was created between the two of us with the whole religious aspect of um times where like I needed my mom and I did not have her. My heart had been broken and I wanted to go cry in her arms, and I couldn't do that because all she cared about and all anyone else cared about was the fact that I had kissed a boy and that was a sin against God, and I created my own heartbreak. So no one really cared that I was over there shattered, and that was one of those things that I brought to her attention way later on in life, literally probably maybe a year ago or maybe a little over a year ago, because she's so welcoming now to issues. She wants you to bring them to her attention. She wants healing to happen. So, hi baby, welcome home. We're doing the live thingy. That's my husband. He just got home from work. Um, but yeah, so I did. We had to patch that up, and she was so welcoming of it. I was able to bring that to her, and I cried so hard. It was like I just wanted my mom's arms around me, and I couldn't have that. It was my first heartbreak, and no one saw it as that. And we accepted all of those things. She even brought things to my attention that I had done too during that distance. So our relationship has been really, really close since she started this healing journey. But after we had that talk about a year and a half ago, we've gotten even closer. And watching her go through this journey of writing this book has been mind-blowing to me, for one. But like my sister Faith has been right by her side during this whole process, and like of writing the book and going over different things and her reading certain parts and helping her with the book. I didn't do any of that. I told Mama whenever she decided to write this book, I don't want to know anything. I know all the stories. These are multiple conversations we've had. I know your life story, but I want to read it as a reader. I want, not as your daughter, I want to have it in my hands and be a consumer. And so, reading this book in that perspective, she has helped me tremendously in ways that she doesn't even know, because I haven't even told her. But
Ooh, juicy. I like
I know. Like,
it.
well, I have to speak on her bravery. Um, because not a lot of people, like, self is very, very scary, and self is very, very challenging, and it's hard to really dig deep. It's terrifying, and she did it. And not only that, but she's talking about things that have happened, and I don't that has such a gravity with me, because this book has made me realize how many things have happened in my life I haven't even admitted to myself that have happened, whether they be big things or small things. I've completely just shoved them down and not even talked about it, pretending like it never happened, because I was embarrassed and because I was ashamed, because I put myself in those situations. I'm to blame for all of it. And it's embarrassing, and I'm ashamed. And I'm not going to talk about it. I'm never going to tell anyone that that happened. And certain little things have been popping up and being brought to my attention from my inner self. Like, just for an example, not long after we started, me and my husband have been reading her book together, and like we take turns reading it out loud. And not long after that, one of the first conversations we had about the book, I just looked at him and I was like, I was in a motorcycle accident. And he was like, what? I was like, I don't know, not recently, but I was like, I was like in a minor motorcycle crash. And he was like, what? And he's like, you've never told me that. And I was like, I've never told me that. Like, I was with, yeah, like I just, different things that I was embarrassed of. I was ashamed.
Wow.
Just coming up like that. And I was able to say it out loud. And I was like, whoa, that happened. And I shouldn't be embarrassed or ashamed of that, because I was with a guy who loved to get drunk. And one night he took my phone because he got insecure when I tried to call an Uber. And I wasn't going to stay at a random bar in Jackson by myself without a phone. And
Hmm.
he just turned a corner wrong, and we just slid. And nobody was hurt or anything. It wasn't like a real big crash. It was something I could easily hide from myself, from the world. After a couple months of having a sore hip and some bruises, I could cover it up like it never happened, and I would never have to feel that shame or embarrassment ever again. And just certain things like that have come up, and I've talked to my husband about it, and I've been like, I was like, baby, I've been so embarrassed about that. Like, I put myself in that situation with a shitty human being who took my phone, and I was like, it was dangerous and whatever. And I was like, why am I so ashamed of these things? Like, these little things that are coming up. And I was like, I really just want to get to where Mama is. Because there are situations that she talks about in this book and things that have been done to her. And she's literally telling you the entire story. Like, it has no hold on her anymore. Like, it doesn't, like, she's not afraid of it anymore. She's not ashamed or embarrassed. And I was like, God, she's so freaking brave. Like, it has been truly inspiring to me. And I didn't even notice that those little things were coming up. And when I did, I was like, oh my God, it's because I'm reading Mama's story. And these little things that she talks about that have no hold over her. And that's one way that it has really, really affected me. It's just her bravery. I I want to be that brave with the things in my life that I don't even admit to myself. And I'm still on my little journey with that. But that's one way that it has really, really helped me out. And I mean, to my surprise, there were a couple of things that, like, just minor details of her stories that I didn't know. And so I've gotten to know her better, but I've gotten to respect the hell out of her a lot more and admire the bravery that it took for her to talk about these things. It gets me fired up. Sorry. Whew. I need some water.
So, Mandy, how do you feel about that?
That really blesses me so much to hear. I haven't heard Leah talk about it. She's told me, like, she hasn't gone into detail about that. Like, she hasn't. It does my heart good. It because I thought she was gonna go into, like, I hurt her pretty deeply. Like, I hurt her very deeply, because of the turmoil, pain, and trauma that I had. And one of the things I know, which I hated myself so much that we couldn't even lay out together because I would just be bashing myself the entire time. I would just hating on myself, and it really put this in you guys. Um, and y'all couldn't even, like, be in my presence because of how much I made hated on myself. With all that Leah just said, it makes me so thankful that because there's a lot of these things that I wrote and I didn't even realize how vulnerable and deep they truly were because I'm just writing it. um I don't know. I'm kind of lost for words because this girl here is such a powerhouse, and it makes me so thankful, like, to myself for doing these things because I want my girls to know how amazing they are, special they are, and there's nothing to be ashamed over. And we were having conversations about that, like, any shame that comes up, the minute you begin to talk about it, look at it, and go into it and be able to express it, it has no hold over you. You feel free,
Mm-mm.
you feel alive, you feel like, oh my God, that shit is off of me now, you know? And I'm so thankful that it just makes me very grateful because, Harmony, like you said, it could have been toxic. If I hadn't have made the choices that I have, it, I would have lost my girls forever. It could have been way different. But because of the work I've done and I will continue to do, always, healing is always a journey. It's never I've arrived. It's not like that. Not at all. We know that. It's always going to be something to heal and something to move through and learn from and grow from. But just, oh my God, Leah, I'm just, like, lost for words. I'm just first of all, just the fact that I didn't, honestly, I didn't know if my girls would want to read this book. Because it's very deep and very raw. But just to hear everything you just said, I love you so much. And I'm so thankful that, first off, that me and you have worked everything out, and we will always work things out. And because it takes work to have relationships, and it takes two people, and you've done that with me. And the fact that you tell me that it's bravery and all those things, like, thank you. Thank you, because I see that in you already, like.
I was gonna say thank you because just like I said, y'all's anniversary, my parents' anniversary was a little over a week ago, and I made them a little, like, short film. And in the caption, I just thanked you and Daddy for the legacy of healing that you're leaving us and my kids and my grandkids and my great nieces and great nephews. And you're leaving that legacy of healing for all of us. And so, what I'm gaining from your book, generations will have because you had the bravery to do it. So, thank you for it. And We haven't finished it yet. We're like this far away, but it's been it's been really wonderful. And me and Jason, my husband, have connected a lot over it, and it's become like a little fun time that we have together. Where sometimes it's not fun. It's not fun to read. I mean, it's a good read, but some parts of it are not, particularly sunshiny. But neither is life. But I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed getting to know you as a reader and not just as your daughter. And it makes me incredibly proud. I cannot wait for someone to ask me, "What does your mom do?" Because I can say my mom's an author. She writes books, and she's also a healer and an inspiring life force of self love. And if I can, Harmony, do you mind if I just tap into that part just really quick? For you guys, don't mind if I do that? Because I'm going to. About the whole self love thing. So, this woman is a complete embodiment of what it means to self love. Now, I can't stand it when people mistake self love for vanity. They're two totally separate things. Totally separate. To be full of yourself is to be arrogant, but to self love is just acceptance. It's literally absorbing every single thing that's happened in your life and everything that you've done wrong. And mama, you've done that. You have absorbed all of it. You've reflected on it and you've let it go and you've let it be and you've accepted it. And that is what it means to self love. So if anyone ever tells you, you're just full of yourself, you're not. You have filled yourself up with yourself, with your own self love, with your own self acceptance. You have reflected on all of it, and that terrifies people. And because it's scary to look at yourself, it's scary to own up to all the awful traumas that you have in your life. So if some people find that threatening, it's because they're scared of what you're challenging them to do in themselves. So if being self absorbed means literally absorbing everything wrong that's ever happened in your life and accepting it, then maybe, yeah, you are self absorbed. Um, but I wanted to speak on that because that's another thing I admire about you is your self love. And you were the opposite of vain. You love yourself, and that's what made me think about it was you talking about how you used to hate yourself so much that we couldn't lay out in the sun together because you would be just talking shit about yourself the entire time, and it would hurt my feelings and I would storm off inside. So to go from that girl that saw that mom be this girl here looking at this mom means the world to me, and I see that and I recognize that you are not self-centered. You are just centered in yourself. Wordplay. Woohoo. That was, I'm going to get that tattooed on me. I'm just kidding. But I love you. And I wanted to speak on that of you loving yourself and how much that means to me now.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Because do you want to speak?
You respond, girl.
Um, the way I see self-love, because there has been that, where you are full of yourself and you're this and you're that, and there's a lot of projection happening right now. And the way I see it is self-appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't appreciate anything about me.
Mm-hmm.
I lived my whole life wanting to kill myself on a daily basis. I thought I was washed up trash to be thrown out. That's what I lived like every single day. That energy went to my girls, like, well, if she feels like she's trash and she had us, what are we, like, I can't imagine. But being able to, I just really appreciate what you said about that, because to me it's like basking and understanding, knowing how divine we are, and seeing the beauty in us. I'm talking physically, mentally, emotionally, like having that divine love that's centered from the inside out and can appreciate. And I still work on that all the time to really, I try to catch myself when, if anything else comes in, I actually want to go back to myself and say, I appreciate you. And I'm sorry I said this about you. I apologize to myself now. If there's anything that comes through that's this or this or this, I'm like, I'm so sorry, Mandy. I love you. And you are so appreciated. And like I talk about inner child healing a lot, and going to that little child, and that all started, the self-hatred thing started years ago with my
Mm-hmm.
family. My dad talked trash about my mom 24/7. That's all I ever heard, because he was hurt by everything that happened. And then my mom hated herself. They both did not ever see anything good in themselves, because, and how far back do you want to go through that generation? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm so grateful that we can learn a life of appreciating the beings that we are.
Right.
Thank you so much for bringing that out. I
And
love you. Thank you.
I love you, and you also your self-preservation is another thing, because I think people mistake that for selfishness. When you're just preserving what is the best for yourself, what is going to contribute to your truest and highest self, like you always say. And like choosing things to do and not to do based on what feels right in your heart and what feels good in your spirit, and choosing what you want and what you do not want to do is just self-preservation. And I've seen a lot of that in you lately. Like, this doesn't feel right. I don't think I'm going to do this. You know what? I don't like the way that this feels. I'm probably going to stay over here. Like, you have been self-preserving and self-reflecting, and it's all come together to make, I think you're very, very balanced, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see after years of the imbalance. And anyways,
Thank you,
yeah.
baby.
I want to go back to just bring up the fact that you were talking about, Leah, how um, I know people will accuse her of being selfish now, but think about how selfish she was before in forcing all of you guys to do everything you needed to do to look good to everybody else. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? When
Yeah.
she was focused on what the powers that be or what they will think, you guys
Mm-hmm.
were having to bend over backwards to cater to that. And then when she started to let go of the whole idea of what everybody else wants and what was right for her, and essentially did self-isolate and start walking the healing path, everything completely changed. And now she is that woman that's going, yeah, no, this is going to drop my vibration. These people are not good for me. I do not need to go and have people, treat me like crap. I do not need that toxicity around
Mm-hmm.
me. So I'm just going to opt out on that. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because my vibration needs to be protected. And when somebody tells me that I'm full of myself, because I am very full of myself, I say, yes, yes, I am. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I am vanity motivated. That is my driving energy. Vanity. Yep, it's a thing. And I'm totally okay with that, because when your vanity and your focus on yourself comes from a place of self-love,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes from a place where you know that you are this beautiful divine being, and this vessel that you're getting to experience this human life with is the thing you're getting to experience this life with, then why would you not obsess over the health and the vitality of your vessel?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's all in perspective. I'm not getting Botox and Juvederm and fillers and plastic surgery and all sorts of kind of stuff to try to make myself look good to them, which is exactly what your mother was doing with the house, right? Clean the house. It's all got to be perfect. Put everything away and make sure it's all that's what people do when they're self-loathing.
Mm-hmm.
When you're self-loving, you do what is right for you. And if it feels right for you to have a house that is clean and is beautiful because it supports your energy and you welcome people into that, that's very different. If you're cleaning house and you're trying to do all this stuff so that they will think that you're worth something, that's when it's toxic and it's not serving anyone. So please, anytime anybody says you're full of yourself, just say yes. Yes, I am. And if anybody accuses you of being vain, be like, yeah, last time I checked, I'm a goddess and this is my goddess vessel. And I need a vessel that is worthy of this goddess soul. So like, I don't even know where your head's at, but I'm cool with being vain and self-absorbed, like super cool with it. I don't know why you're not. What's up with you?
Mm-hmm. Tell them.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Perspective is everything. One of my favorite clients, Paula Judith Johnson, who's a romance author, a 72-year-old romance author. I've never met one before my whole entire life. The girl is amazing. When she first met me, we were in a marketing class together, and she said when she saw me and I was talking, thank God her mic was muted because she audibly said, "Oh my God, that woman is so full of herself." And she didn't realize what was motivating it. And then as she spent more time with me, she came to the realization that I was motivated by something that she didn't understand. And it wasn't the
Mm-hmm.
typical like Los Angeles vanity. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
as we got to know each other, she realized, oh my God, she's motivated by self-love. And I actually want to learn to be like that.
Hell yeah.
So own it. And it's so beautiful that what Mandy is projecting for you and that path that she's walked from being self-loathing and not loving herself and loathing on herself and hurting you as a result of that, to then learning how to love herself and be full of herself and be focused on what's right for her, has
Mm-hmm.
impacted you and your relationship in a beautiful way. And it's allowing for you now reading this book and seeing the way that she is to inspire you to do the same for yourself, which is really beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I love everything you just said, Harmony. I'm serious. I feel like a lot of people need to hear that. A lot of people need to hear what you just said because you're absolutely right. Because I love that. Girl, you got some nuggets today that I'm just going to take with me forever. When people say that, absolutely. You know what? I am. I 100% am. And it took a lot to get here. So don't disrespect and disservice the work that I've gone through to get here.
Yeah. People
Love it.
only essentially naysay the work when they are looking at you in your power and it shines a light on them and the fact that they haven't done the work. And so, in order to be okay with being unresolved, they're going to naysay you and where you're at so they can be comfortable with staying where they are, not doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
Right.
whenever, and I've said this to Mandy and she's heard me say it many times, when people reject you, when they naysay you, they're just undressing themselves, not you.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the ones who are standing there naked, because if they didn't have any feelings about it and they were on the expansion path themselves, they would do nothing but cheerlead you. So we never, ever, ever need to take on what they're saying. In my book, Create a Healthy Romantic Relationship, Mandy knows this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I walked a path to own my sexuality, I've always been a very, very sexual person. It's just a part of
Mm-hmm.
who I am. I ooze sexuality and I'm not
That's good.
apologizing for it. But I felt
Absolutely.
bad about it being in religion, right? Because religious constructs don't allow for you to be a sexual goddess. So it took a long
Mm-hmm.
time for me to heal that. And we all know the word slut. It's a thing
Mm-hmm.
that people like to use for a woman who likes to have sexual pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of trying to stop what people say, because we can't control anybody but ourselves, I took the word slut and made it an acronym in my book. And it stands
Mm-hmm.
for sensual, luscious, unapologetic, and talented. You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Love that so much.
Love it, love it, love
The
it.
best,
Yes.
right?
You slut.
Yes.
You slut.
I love it because
Love it.
literally our sexuality is our power. That's what we're not taught in, like religion, churches, everything. Like our sexuality, like even our lower chakras, that is our power. That is our worth. That is our root. And I've had to heal a lot of that space because of the things that happened, and be able to be open with my sexuality, to be able to express who I am and be all expressive. And it's so beautiful. I love seeing people just own their sexuality. Like whatever that
Mhm.
is for you, own it, you
And
know?
how much more freeing is it for your daughters because of the fact that you've healed your sexual trauma and you're in a place where you're walking a path where you're okay with your sexuality? It frees them to have their own sexual power and to claim their sexual power and to have that fun that they want to have. Because when you were in that place of fear, when you were in that place of trauma, you were actually trying to control their sexuality just as much as religion was,
I
right?
was. I was and I did. I mean, we had a t-shirt that said modest is hottest. Like
Yep.
we actually, do you remember that t-shirt, Leah?
Oh God.
Yep. I sure do.
Oh my God. I'm like, so as women, we can't be expressive with like who we are, what we want to wear, when we want to wear it, because we feel good. We feel very like we feel beautiful. Like, and what, and the woman, like female body is beautiful. And we should be able to express how we do.
Hmm.
Period.
I think we
Yeah.
should I think we really need to like create like a once a month podcast or something just talking about women empowerment and sexuality because I could go on for hours on this subject. This is so much fun. And it's so true that like it takes a lot for a woman to completely own herself sexually. It took me a long time too. And I always thought like for years because of my ex marriage and a couple of relationships after that I was the one who's supposed to do all the work, all the pleasuring. I was just there to just, I guess enjoy it. I don't know. But yeah, so finding that makes you a stronger person. It gives you a whole different vibe. Like how you carry yourself is so different whenever you have that freedom. So I love the slut, acronym and what that you gave. You need to send that to me. I'm gonna write it down. We can go get tattoos.
I absolutely will. And it does take a lot of chutzpah as a woman to say the words, I love sex.
Mm-hmm.
And I am unapologetically going to say that I enjoy myself and take as much pleasure as I desire. Thank you very much. And I will not have anybody in my bedroom that's not showing up to worship a goddess,
Yes,
right?
That's
But it
right.
takes,
absolutely.
I mean, the fact that you guys are having this conversation right now and that we're talking this way and that awareness is a thing within your family has everything to do with the fact that Mandy's done this work because it put
Mm-hmm.
her in a place where she was able to be in alignment with me, seeing me on TikTok one day, working out live on TikTok. And, we ended up in a conversation and then she ended up in my orbit, which has allowed for her to be able to learn from me and to learn these truths. And Leah, I don't know if you know how much of my words are in that book, but I keep seeing them. And it's just so beautiful to see my truths then being spoken again through her and her
Right.
sharing her journey. It makes me so incredibly proud to see that because I'm here to flood the earth with love. And I am
Mm-hmm.
very aware of the fact I had all the ego when I first learned that and thought I was going to do it myself. I don't know what I was thinking. And then I ended up, as I've been doing the work over the decade, I realized, oh, so what's going to happen is I'm going to help people expand and create beautiful, unconditionally loving relationships with themselves. They will become lighthouses and it will inspire others to then want to do the same because they are shining their beautiful light. And your mother is doing that for you and your family, which is allowing for this blossoming to happen for you and for you to be able to question things and go, hold on a second. I deserve some sexual pleasure too. I want orgasms. Why is he just getting them? This is bullshit. Right?
Right. Absolutely. And I love that. That's part of the legacy that she's leaving for all the women in the family, all the daughters, all the granddaughters, all the great grandchildren will have that legacy of not only self love and acceptance and healing, but completely owning yourself. your pleasures, what makes you happy, just completely allowing that to fill you up and let it get you fired up. Like I love the legacy that she leaves behind with that. And I'm very, 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 very fortunate to be an adult who has parents who have done the work and have healed and have 100% come into their own selves. And I'm still on my journey with that. I am getting closer and closer every day. I love being myself. I used to hate being myself and now I fucking love it. Pardon my French. But and my mom is to thank for a lot of that. And Harmony, so are you. Because I know all the help that you've given her. I know how much you've inspired this woman. She's done nothing but talk about you for 3 straight years. And we're honored to have you as part of it. I'm happy that you guys are besties and that you've been giving her all these nuggets of truth that have allowed her to come into herself even more.
Thank you so much. I actually was going to say this is the first time that I've had the opportunity to be able to interview the family of somebody that I've done expansion work with, and getting to see how the work that she's done, how it's impacted the people in her orbit, the people that she loves, how it's empowered you guys is just such a beautiful thing for me to see. So any of you people that are healers out there, if you just want to like bathe in the awesomeness, like maybe set something like this up for yourself because it's so amazing. And I'm like, why haven't I done this sooner? Like, this is so, seeing the two of you guys bond and hearing how it's impacted you. Oh my God, it's just making my soul sing. So I'm just really glad that I had the whole inspiration to interview you in the first place, Mandy, on your book. Like, I literally, Mandy knows this about me. I get an idea and I just say yes and go. And I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know what exactly is going to happen. But like when I got back from my trip, I was like, I need to interview Mandy about her book and just like share it to my audience so that they can hear about this because I'm just so proud of my girl, right? Like she's done such an amazing job coming through her trauma and sharing the story and putting it in print and sharing it with the world. And I just want to sing her praises. And then the interview happened last week and all of a sudden one of her babies showed up and I was like, oh, we are so bringing her in. And I didn't even warn Mandy that this was going to happen. I just was like, this is what's happening right now. And then of course, Leah, you were all like, but I wanted to be there. And Mandy's like, oh, missed opportunity. And I was like, no, there's no such thing as a missed opportunity. We're just going to interview her next week. Just tell me when she's available. And here we are. So it's just, my soul is singing right now, having the opportunity to see the two of you girls and having the opportunity to see Mandy and Faith last week as well. I just feel blessed. And for any of you guys who are getting to watch this and you have a toxic relationship with your family and you're struggling and you're in pain and you're fear motivated and you're running away from the trauma, this could be you. This could be your outcome. You can heal the relationships with your family. You can heal the relationships with your babies or baby, however many you have. You can be the example of healing to them, and your healing will help them heal and expand. It can change and shift at any time. The only thing you need to do is say yes. It's as simple as that. Just say yes to you. Stop denying yourself. Stop hating yourself. Stop beating yourself up. Stop being so mean to yourself. And stop hurting others as a result of your trauma and your subconscious programming. And turn around and just say yes. You don't need to know the how. That's my job. Okay? I'm the one that's been doing this for a decade and has the path for you to walk. Just say yes. And I will sort out the rest for you. So before we wrap, I want Mandy, I'd like you to say some parting words and let everybody know why they should read this book. And Leah, I want the same from you as well. Why people from your perspective should be reading this book. Go, Mandy.
Go. I think people should read this book because what it's going to do is it's going to open you. It's an opener. It is going to make you feel like Leah said, make you feel things that you haven't felt before. But what you're feeling is your own You're actually considering yourself now and your feelings and how important that you are. So it's an opener. It's going to open you. If you've been shut down, if you have been hurt, if you've been abandoned, if you've been bruised from anywhere, any part of your life, it's going to open these wounds. And that's a good thing, and you don't need to be afraid of that. And if you need help, like Harmony said, me or her or whoever that you trust can help you. But it will open it up, and it will help you start really paying attention to your own feelings, how you feel, what's happened to you, the things that you've closed down, the things that you've shut down. And because it's vulnerable, it's real, and it's raw. And you will also just see, like, and feel this story of, if you knew, if you could feel my heart right now and feel how much joy I live with every day because of the work that I've done, how much happiness I literally feel most of the time. Most of the time, I feel that. I'm a human being. I do go through these things. I do go through life, and life does happen. And I will move through anything that does come. But for the most part, I live in a state of unconditional love and genuinely care for humanity. And it's just created this love, this unconditional love inside of me. And if you want to get to a place where you feel that on a daily basis and start really appreciating and loving yourself, start with picking up this book. It will help you, and it will unravel you, because you're so important, so kind, so everything. You are a divine being sent here on planet Earth to be this beautiful, amazing, awesome, gifted, talented human being, and to be able to express all that you are. So start by picking up this book and reading it, because you're going to start really feeling that for yourself, because that's what the energy and for this book is. So yeah.
Your turn.
Hello, it's my turn. Okay, so everything she just said, 100%, is that if there's those battles and those traumas and those triggers that keep happening in your life that bring something up, and then you harden yourself, try to catch that and think, like, has that happened to me? Because I know it has happened to me, where I'm triggered by something and a wall goes up, or something comes up in my brain and I just shut it down and go about life because I'm happy. If you're ready to be aware of that facade, read this book. If you're ready to recognize it and fix it and live a real wholesome life, read this book. And also, if you enjoy the way that my mom talks, if you've been watching this and you're like, man, I love the way that Mandy talks, and sometimes she, like she said before, both of us, we kind of ramble on. We'll get on a topic and then we'll have these little side thoughts and stuff. This book is like you're having a conversation with her. It really, really is. Reading it to my husband, we've been reading it, and he was like, it literally just sounds like you're just talking to mama. And I was like, yeah, that's the beauty of it. It does. It sounds like how she talks, how she's telling you the story is how she's been talking through this whole interview. It's very, very real. It's so attainable, and it's easy to follow. It's not a super long book if you're not a reader. It's 180 pages, I think, or something around there. But I'm not gonna say it's an easy read, because it's a pretty brutal story from time to time. And but I can tell you it's an easy read. You can just breeze right through it because you want more. Like you want to know more. And when you get to that ending, it's worth it. And it, like Harmony said, this could be you. This could 100% be you. This could be me. I'm still getting there. But yeah, Fertile Darkness.
I love how you keep saying, I'm still on the path. And I'm like, you're such a baby. Like, what are you? What? Yeah. What are you, 80? You're like, I'm still on the path. Like, I've been on it for so long, but I'll get there, guys. Like, you're You got your whole life ahead of you, girl. You got like
we're all on the path. Nobody has arrived. Nobody has like we're all learning. We still learn, we still grow. There's still going to be times, in life that we go through these things. But what I've learned through it is that when you're in the middle of any storm or anything that is like chaotic or going on, if you can have your own back, put your hand over your heart and say, I got you. I got you. Look at all the things you've already walked through, or look at this, and this that you didn't think you can make it through. Like, you can encourage the hell out of yourself. That is the biggest thing that I've been learning. And I feel like we can all teach each other. We can all grow together. We all are. We're all on the path. We're not gonna, like, when we get super perfect is when we leave this life, like that's whenever it changes. But we're human beings having a human experience. And this is our experience right now. And like, I will always say that. I will always say I'm not. I work on myself every single day. I work on self-love every single day. I learn how to talk to myself, communicate with myself every single day. This is a practice like yoga. I love yoga. Yoga is a practice. I heard the teacher last night say that when I was watching her. She said, this is a practice. So like, we are practicing this thing in life, and we get to move in the ebbs and the flows. And it's a beautiful dance, though. I also learned, like, one of the things I've been realizing recently is that we can grow not just from the pain and all the shit and all the stuff, but we can grow out of self-love. We can grow out of like a place of abundance, a place of fulfillment, a place of just wholeness. Like, things can happen and we can move from that space. How amazing is that? That we think, like, for so long, I'm like, yeah, well, I was surviving, obviously, but now there's something called thriving. Like, you can have so many things come into your life because you're now in a place. It doesn't matter where you are, your background, your like financial situation, whatever relationships issues you have, none of that matters. We can come from a place of complete abundance and love and wholeness inside of us, and let everything else just attract in from there. I love that.
Drop the mic. Absolutely. It's so beautiful what you say when it comes to the expansion path and the self-love journey. I tell all of my clients, you need to be on this path for the rest of your life. And there's two reasons why. One, it's going to take the rest of your life to expand on your awesomeness. Okay. Because you are a beautiful divine being who is multifaceted. And for your pathetic little brain to conceive of the divine being that you are and everything that you are, good luck. Okay. You're so much greater than what you could possibly conceive of. This human mind is too limited to conceive of your amazingness. The other thing is that we know in this human existence that this vessel ages and changes, right? So you need to keep recommitting to yourself as you age and change. When you look at yourself and you see things wrinkling and sagging and gray hairs and these different things, you need to look in the mirror and say, I love you. This is a part of my human journey. I embrace it. And I am beautiful in all stages of my life. So spend the rest of your life falling in love with yourself and recommitting to your self-love as you change. And spend the rest of your life expanding and changing, because even if you feel like you're fully resolved with everything that you've ever experienced, guess what? There's more to come. There's more to trigger you moving forward, right? There's more shit coming. There's more bogs of eternal stench. There's more shit storms. There's more refining fires. There's more stuff coming in the future that is going to teach you, that you are going to hurt through, and you will learn and expand. So just commit. If you're on the path, you're going to be on it for the rest of your life. And if any of you are watching this and you're on the path, you should be congratulating yourself, because there are so few who walk the path. I do not want to say this, but there are so few who actually say yes to themselves and actually are brave enough to walk the path, to heal and expand, and to be sitting where Mandy and I are. Leah's on the path. She's just a baby. She hasn't even experienced all the pain yet.
I promise I have.
He has.
You have experienced so much pain. There is no two ways about it. But when you get upwards into your 40s, we'll have a conversation when Mandy and I are ancient. Oh my God. We're not discussing this. But the point is I want you to all understand that for how much pain you're in right now, for your struggles and your trials and your tribulations and everything, there's nothing to fear by facing the monster in the closet. In fact, there is no monster in the closet. Guys, you already dealt with the monster and you got over it. You're through it. You're out the other end. The healing does not mean bathing in the trauma all over again. It's dealing with the residual that is left over that you're dealing with, the programming in your mental operating system that needs to be updated, the energy in your energy body that needs to be released. There is shifting and expanding. You chose to hurt, to learn, to expand, to step into something beautiful. Don't you want to know what that is? I'm just saying, I'm curious. Are you? How about we find out? So this is really interesting because there were some comments that came in. One of the comments that came in was children are getting traumatized even if they're living in toxicity. And this was something that we were talking about earlier on, how we were talking about how when parents stay together, they're under some kind of illusion that if they pretend everything's okay, that they're fooling the children and they could just stay together till the kids are 18 and then get divorced. And this is not how it is. The children are not stupid. They are aware they are in a toxic environment, and it is absolutely unhealthy to leave them in that situation until they're 18 because you're doing 18 years worth of damage. How about you stop it now?
Yep.
And get divorced and do what you need to do and heal and get to a place where you guys are happy. The children will be happier. They'll get through the divorce. I promise. It's the best choice you can possibly make if you cannot make it work together. So thank you so much for that beautiful comment. I really appreciate it. And I
It's true.
wanted
The
to,
children do feel it.
yeah,
They feel it. They are affected like big time. Children are very highly sensitive and feel it. So, but as you get yourself together and do the healing that you need to do, no matter what that looks like if that means separate from your person and go on this massive, beautiful, loving self journey for yourself, your kids are going to actually move with you. They will heal from it. Like Harmony said, I mean, better go ahead and do it now than when they're 18 years old and then they have like how long do they have to heal from? like the toxicity is they feel it. They do feel it. And divorce should be more and more happening if the parents can do nothing but chaos. If it's nothing but chaos, the kids are going to feel it. When they separate, the kids, yes, they will go through a period of I went through a period of separation with my parents, and I was tossed and thrown, whatever. But it's because neither one of my parents were really healing their trauma. Can you imagine if you begin to heal your trauma and pain and like nurture your children in that and let them feel like they will be able to go on that path and journey with you? So the kids will, the more bottom line is, ask yourself what is you need to do for you. What is the best and highest good that's going to help you heal? So, very importantly, nurture and care for yourself. And what is the best for you? Because whatever that is, and you begin to really open up and have that beautiful relationship with yourself, and you start making decisions from that space and an unconditionally loving space, your kids are going to be amazing. They're going to actually know what to do also. You're teaching them what to do.
I love that so much. There's another beautiful comment that came in. You're messing with the wrong guys if you're not getting off first a few times. Okay, can we correct that to a few hundred times? We're okay with that, right? I love what you're saying, and I love that you're agreeing with the fact that the goddess should be pleased and taken care of first. There is no two ways about it. Can we all yell out off the rooftops and help men understand that there needs to be a balance? And we all know that you all you boys are going to get your party. You're guaranteed your party. So how about you stop focusing on that and focus on the goddess first? Thank you so much. Right?
Right.
Do any of you guys have any comments for that? You're messing
I'm with the
with
wrong
the
guys.
wrong guys if you're not getting off first.
I really do believe that there's a lot of men in this world who just want that pleasure instead of pleasuring their women. One of the things, Harmony, I think I've heard you say is that there should be a worship going on in the bedroom. They should worship one another. It should be equal worship. Um, how did you put that? Like, I absolutely loved when we had that conversation that you both are in this. It's not, there's no dominating. It's more, there's this worship of each, like you're being worshiped, he's being worshiped, or her, whatever your partnership is. But both are being equally worshiped. But I do like, I mean, coming from a space that I've come from, which is male dominance, um that has been one of the biggest, most painful things that I've had to get past, because of the abuse I've had for men. So
Yep.
I had to have a man come in, my husband, who taught me and showed me that men are gentle. There are men who are kind and who are gentle. And he showed me so much of this unconditional love that what did it make me do? It made me want to give it right back to him. So the more, it depends on what energy you're coming through. If you're coming in like, this is what I want and this is what I want it now, and I want you to do this and this and this, that is what we call dominating, control, manipulation. But whenever you go in and you literally want to serve, it is a service of unconditional love to that person, that you love them so much that you want to serve them. Completely different energy.
Yeah, I call it mutual worship. And there's a huge dynamic, especially in social media and stuff like that. There's a lot of the conversations around subdom, and particularly like in the kink worlds and stuff like that. If you get into like being open and polyamorous and stuff like that, which I am polyamorous with my partner, people are always asking, oh, are you sub or are you dom? And I'm like, yeah, I don't ascribe to those constructs. I don't play by other people's rules. So don't ask me questions like that. This is how it should be. It should be, I worship you, you worship me. That's how that works. It's mutual worship, because I'm a goddess last time I checked, and you're a god. I don't know if you're owning that or not, but you're a god. And I do like to lick a god from head to toe. I don't know if that works for you.
Yes.
They don't usually say no. And that's the thing, is in all reality, people claim what they claim because they feel like they have to in order to get what they want. And if you realize that if you shift that energy to unconditional love and you're showing up, accepting a person for everything that they are, and you're wanting to love and dote on them and worship them, it's amazing how much they want to do exactly the same thing in return, because they've never felt so loved and worshiped in their lives.
Mhm.
Never. Just like Mandy said, experiencing what she experienced put her in a place where she wanted to reciprocate tenfold. Men, if any of you show up and you properly worship a goddess and you hold safe space for her to blossom, she will show you something you've never seen before. And that is a blossom goddess who is going to give in ways you can't fathom. A free goddess is unlike anything you'll ever experience, because most of the women who are walking around out there are repressed and full of shame and guilt and have been sexually abused and don't feel safe. It is your job to show up and hold safe space every time, all the time. And the rewards will be beyond what you could possibly fathom. Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yep.
Yep. That's hot.
Mandy, I want to take a second and thank you for taking the time to share your book, share your story, share your pain, because it's what it has allowed for us to have this conversation today and to be here laughing and joking and talking about all of this stuff openly. So you doing this is beautiful. Leah, I want to thank you for being so proud of your mom, so much so that you're here sharing your truths and your pride in your mother's healing journey. And allowing us to be able to see through you just how much her expansion journey has supported your own. And to see that is incredibly beautiful. Look at that. She made hearts. She actually made hearts appear. I can't even. That's amazing. I love that so much. Oh my God. It
I'm
couldn't be
magic.
more perfect. Thank you to each and every one of you guys enjoying us. If you want to work with Mandy or I, just so you know, Mandy is a healer just like I am. If you're inspired to say yes to you and your energy is in alignment with Mandy or mine, please just message in the place that you're seeing this and go, how can I get a hold of Mandy? How can I get a hold of Harmony? And either of us would be absolutely happy to serve you and to take care of you and to support you walking the path of expansion. For all of you guys who are seeing this after the fact, please feel free to comment and ask questions. We will be paying attention and we're happy to answer any questions that you have. If you want to get the book, the link is right there. The QR code is right there. Please scan it and go and get her book. And then go to Amazon after the fact. And do not forget to write a review of the book so that people know what an impact, so we know what an impact it has had on you and your life, because we want to hear. Mandy wants to know. She didn't just write this book for herself. She wrote it for you, who is going to buy it and read it and be inspired and want to expand as well. We are here to flood the earth with love. So please get the book, read it, unpleasant or pleasant. Read it. It's good for you. And then say yes to you and expand. We love and appreciate each and every one of you, all three of us. And we are so grateful that you came and you enjoyed the time with us over the last hour and 45 minutes we've been talking and hanging out. And we wish all of you healing and so much love. Thank you again.
Look at Leah.
Oh my God.
Let's go.
Mandy's like, where's my heart? Where's my heart?
I know, it's right here.
Thank you so much, ladies. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Harmony.
Thank you so much.